The green call light was still on. Tessa Wynn noticed it before she noticed the diamonds on Bianca Moretti's wrist, before she noticed the white roses being dragged through the east corridor for a wedding no one in the house had actually blessed, before she noticed that the old leather suitcase by Serena Vescari's bedroom door had been packed with winter clothes in the middle of June. The phone lay face up on the silver breakfast tray beside a cup of lemon tea. Its screen was black except for one bright bar across the top, a small green line that meant Roman Vescari had not ended the call. Bianca did not see it. Bianca rarely saw anything she did not own. "Tell the planner Mrs. Vescari gave her blessing," Bianca said, smoothing one hand over the pale silk of her dress. "Use a warm voice, Tessa. Something grateful. Something maternal." Tessa set Serena's tea beside the older woman's right hand and kept her own voice level. "No, Miss Moretti." Bianca looked up as if the maid had dropped a glass. Tessa touched the handle of the suitcase with the toe of her sensible black shoe and pushed it back an inch, away from the door. "Her silence is not your permission." On the other end of the phone, in a conference room 43 floors above downtown, every man at Roman Vescari's table stopped speaking. Tessa did not smile. She did not glance at the phone to make sure she had been heard. She had been raised by a mother who cleaned courthouse floors and a grandmother who said that truth did not become braver because an audience appeared. Truth was truth when no one important was listening. Serena Vescari sat in her high-backed chair by the windows, wrapped in a cream cardigan despite the summer heat. Her silver hair had been braided neatly over one shoulder, because Tessa had done it before sunrise, and her dark eyes were clear enough to cut through every lie in the room. The stroke had taken most of Serena's speech 11 months earlier, along with the quickness of her left hand, but it had not taken her mind. It had only made people comfortable ignoring it. Bianca's mouth tightened. "Excuse me? Mrs. Vescari has not blessed the wedding." Tessa kept both hands visible, one beside the tea, one on the suitcase handle. "She has not agreed to leave this house after the ceremony. She has not agreed to have her room turned into a bridal wardrobe. And she has not asked me to say any of that for her." Serena's right knuckles tapped the table twice. 2 taps. No. Tessa heard it because she always heard it. She had learned Serena's language from months of mornings: 1 tap for yes, 2 for no, 3 for pain, palm down for enough, fingers curled for wait, thumb to wedding ring for Roman. She had learned the pauses too, which mattered more than the gestures. Serena Vescari was still a woman who chose her words carefully. She simply needed the room to stop rushing her. Bianca laughed once, soft and expensive. "You are very attached to your little system." "It is not my system." "Then what is it?" Tessa looked at Serena, not at Bianca. "It is hers." The phone made a faint sound on the tray, a small shift of static through the speaker. Bianca's gaze flicked down at last. For 1 second, her perfect face lost its arrangement. Tessa saw the green call light reflected in Bianca's pearl earring. Roman was still there. Bianca moved fast, reaching for the phone, but Tessa moved first. She picked it up, turned it carefully so the speaker faced the room, and set it on the table between Bianca and Serena. Then she stepped back, not hiding, not triumphant, only present. "Mr. Vescari," Tessa said, "your mother is in the breakfast room. Miss Moretti has asked me to make a statement in your mother's name." I refused. Silence answered. "Not the empty kind. The heavy kind." Bianca recovered with the skill of a woman who had never been allowed to lose in public. "Roman, darling, this is absurd. Your maid has misunderstood a private conversation." The voice that came through the phone was quiet enough that even Bianca stopped breathing. "Tessa." He knew her name. That should not have surprised her. Roman Vescari knew the names of men who betrayed him in cities he had never visited. Still, hearing it in that voice, cut clean through the speaker and directed at her, made the back of her neck warm. "Yes, sir. Is my mother dressed to leave?" Tessa looked at the suitcase, then at the folded navy coat Bianca's assistant had placed over a chair. "A suitcase has been packed without her consent." Serena tapped twice again, harder. Tessa repeated, "She says no." "Did my mother ask for the room to be changed?" "No." "Did she bless the wedding?" Bianca made a small sound, but Roman did not ask her. He waited. Tessa swallowed, because this was the moment people like her usually learned the limits of truth. Powerful men liked honesty until honesty cost them something. Then they called it insolence, confusion, jealousy, ambition, anything except what it was. "No," Tessa said. She did not. The line went quiet. Then Roman said, "Put the suitcase back in her room." Bianca snapped, "Roman." Now. Tessa did not need to be told twice. She gripped the old leather handle with both hands, braced one foot against the carpet, and dragged the suitcase over the threshold of Serena's bedroom. It was heavier than it looked. Someone had packed not only clothes but framed photographs, slippers, medicine boxes, a shawl Serena used only when she missed her late husband, and the little cedar box where she kept birthday cards from Roman when he was a child. They had not packed Serena for a visit. They had packed her out of her life. Tessa pushed the suitcase against the wall inside the bedroom and returned to the breakfast room with her pulse beating in her palms. Bianca stood very still beside the table. "You have no idea what you have just done." "I know exactly what I did." "You work here." "Yes." "You are paid to assist this household." "I am paid to assist Mrs. Vescari." "By the Vescari household." Tessa met her eyes. "Then the household should be proud it hired someone who can hear no." Serena's hand trembled. Tessa moved automatically, not to grab it, but to place a folded napkin under Serena's wrist so the older woman's fingers could rest without strain. The gesture was small, familiar, and deeply intimate in the way competence often was. It said, "I see where you are tired. I will not make you beg for help." Through the phone, Roman said, "Nico." A different man's voice answered from far away. "Boss. Car. Now." Bianca's face changed again, and this time the fear stayed longer. Tessa should have felt satisfaction. She did not. Satisfaction was a luxury for people who were safe after they told the truth. Tessa was 34 years old, with rent due on Friday, a younger sister in nursing school, and a work history full of wealthy families who wanted devotion until devotion interfered with convenience. She knew what happened when the important people finished being shocked. The maid left quietly. The fiancé stayed. The family protected its own. Serena tapped once. "Yes." Tessa looked down. The older woman's eyes had softened, and her fingers moved slowly, thumb to wedding ring, then 2 fingers toward the phone, then palm over heart. "Roman. Come. Home." Tessa translated even though he had not asked. "She wants you to come home." The answer came at once. "I am on my way." The call ended then, the green light disappearing into black glass. For a moment, no one moved. Then Bianca smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It was the kind people used when they had lost a round and decided the game was beneath them. "Pack your room," she said to Tessa. Tessa lifted the teacup and guided Serena's fingers around it before answering. "I do not live here." "Then pack whatever little bag you carry." "I am scheduled until 6. "You are dismissed." Serena's palm hit the table flat. "Enough." The sound echoed against the breakfast room glass. Bianca flinched, then looked furious that she had flinched. Tessa spoke before Bianca could. "Mrs. Vescari says enough." "Mrs. Vescari says whatever you decide she says." That cut deeper than Tessa allowed her face to show, because it was the accusation she feared most. It was the reason she never answered for Serena unless she had seen the signal twice, unless she had waited long enough for correction, unless she could place her own pride on the floor and leave it there. Serena was not a symbol for Tessa's courage. She was not a weapon in a fight between women. She was a person trapped inside rooms where everyone finished her sentences. Tessa turned to Serena. "Do you want me to stop translating?" Serena's eyes sharpened. 1 tap. "No." "Do you want Miss Moretti to speak for you?" 2 taps. "No." "Do you want us to wait for Mr. Vescari before anything else leaves this room?" 1 tap. "Yes." Tessa faced Bianca again. "She has answered." Bianca's cheeks colored. "You have made yourself very important." "No," Tessa said. "I made her important in her own room." That was when the first guard appeared at the end of the corridor. He was not one of Roman's black-suited men. He belonged to Bianca's family, which meant he had been invited into the house during the engagement and had behaved as if the walls had already changed allegiance. His name was Paolo. He was broad, silent, and fond of standing too close to staff who could not complain. "Miss Moretti?" he asked. Bianca did not take her eyes off Tessa. "Remove the maid from Mrs. Vescari's wing." Tessa's stomach tightened, but she did not step back. Serena's hand moved, slow and furious, toward the small brass bell on the table. Her fingers could not quite reach it. Tessa reached first and slid the bell beneath Serena's palm. Serena rang it once. The sound was thin but bright. Paolo stopped. The entire house knew that bell. It had belonged to Roman's grandmother before Serena. No staff ignored it, and no guard touched the room when it rang unless Roman himself ordered it. Bianca's voice chilled. "You are exploiting a sick woman." Tessa's anger finally rose high enough to burn through fear. "No. I am obeying a living one." Paolo took one uncertain step. The front doors opened below. No one announced Roman Vescari. The house did it for him. The staff went silent in a wave from the foyer upward. Footsteps struck marble, measured but fast, and then the corridor filled with black coats, disciplined shoulders, and the cold order of men who understood that something inside the house had gone wrong. Roman appeared at the far end. Tessa had seen him before, of course. Everyone in the house had seen him, leaving before dawn in a charcoal coat, crossing the winter garden with a phone at his ear, standing beside his mother's chair during Sunday dinner like a man guarding a crown. He was tall, dark-haired, clean-shaven, Italian-American in the cut of his face and the vowels that surfaced when he was tired. At 42, he had the kind of stillness that made people explain themselves too quickly. Today he did not look at Bianca first. He looked at the suitcase inside his mother's bedroom. Then he looked at Serena. Then, finally, at Tessa. The impact of his attention was physical. Tessa had worked in houses where men looked through her, around her, past her name tag, past her hands, past whatever she knew. Roman Vescari looked as if he had counted every breath she took since the phone call and found each one relevant. "Mother," he said. Serena's face changed. It was not relief exactly. Serena Vescari was too proud for easy relief. But something in her shoulders lowered, and Tessa saw the woman she must have been before the stroke, elegant, sharp, impossible to move unless she chose it. Roman walked into the breakfast room. Bianca moved toward him, but Nico, Roman's chief bodyguard, shifted half a step and closed the space without touching her. "Roman," Bianca began. "Your staff has created a scene." Roman removed his black leather gloves finger by finger and placed them on the table beside the silent phone. "My staff did not pack my mother's life into a suitcase." Bianca drew herself up. "Your mother needs care. She has care. Professional care. Tessa is professional." The words landed in the room with more force than praise should have carried. Tessa felt them, then forced herself not to look grateful. Gratitude, too soon, could become a chain. Bianca smiled tightly. "A maid with opinions." Roman turned his head. "A maid who heard my mother." Serena tapped once. "Yes." Tessa translated quietly, "She agrees." Roman did not move for several seconds. Then he did something that pulled all the air from the room. He crouched. Not bowed. Not knelt. He lowered himself to the height of his mother's chair with the controlled grace of a dangerous man choosing restraint. His black suit folded cleanly at the knee. His signet ring caught the morning light. Every guard in the corridor looked away at once, as if they had been trained not to witness the private shape of his tenderness. Roman looked only at Serena. "Do you want Tessa to say it for you?" he asked, "or do you want us to wait?" Serena's eyes filled, but she did not cry. She lifted her right hand with effort and pointed to Tessa. Then she pointed to herself. Then she held up two fingers together. Tessa's throat tightened. Roman looked at her. "What does that mean?" Tessa kept her voice steady with difficulty. "She wants me to help. But she wants you to wait for her too." "Both." Roman nodded once, as if Serena had issued a formal order. "Then we wait." Bianca laughed under her breath. "This is theatrical." Roman did not rise. "Leave the room. You cannot be serious. You were willing to have my mother removed from her home while I was in a meeting. For her own comfort. You were willing to put words in her mouth. For our future. You were willing," Roman said, and now the softness left his voice, "to marry me with a fake blessing." Bianca's chin lifted. "Your empire needs my father's votes on the port commission." The house seemed to become colder. Roman stood. "My empire existed before your father learned how to spell port." Nico's mouth did not move, but his eyes did. Tessa noticed because she noticed everything in rooms where women without power survived by reading small changes. Bianca's expression hardened into something honest at last. "Do not humiliate me over a maid." Roman stepped close enough that she had to tilt her head back. "I am not humiliating you over a maid." His voice stayed quiet. "I am judging you over my mother." For the first time, Bianca looked at Serena with real dislike. Tessa moved without thinking. She stepped between that look and Serena's chair, not fully blocking Roman, not challenging the guards, only placing her body where Serena's privacy should have been. Roman saw it. The whole room saw it. Bianca's lips parted. "You are making a mistake, Roman." "No," he said. "I am correcting one." He turned to Nico. "Miss Moretti's staff leaves the house within the hour. Her family guards leave now. The wedding office is sealed until Marcello reviews every paper that passed through it." Bianca went pale. "You cannot seal my office. It is in my house. Our wedding is in 3 days." Roman looked at the green call light, now dark. "No," he said. "It is not." Tessa felt the room shift again, but this time it shifted around a consequence. Not a threat. Not a display. A decision. Bianca stared at him. "You would cancel a political marriage because a maid said no?" Roman's gaze moved to Tessa, and for one dangerous second the room disappeared around them. "No," he said. "Because she was the only one who did." Tessa looked away first. She had to. If she did not, she feared something in her face would answer him before she had decided what she was allowed to feel. Bianca left with the careful dignity of someone already planning revenge. Paolo followed, escorted by 2 of Roman's men. The wedding planner, who had been hovering near the hall with a clipboard and terror in both eyes, vanished before anyone could ask her to explain the roses. When the room emptied, Serena exhaled so slowly that it hurt to hear. Tessa turned at once. Are you in pain? 3 fingers curled. Wait. Tessa waited. Roman watched her wait. It took almost a minute for Serena to lift her hand again. Her finger moved toward the notebook on the side table, a small blue book with elastic around it. Tessa fetched it and placed a thick pencil between Serena's fingers. The first letters came out uneven. Roman. He stepped closer. Serena wrote again. Youdidnotask. Roman's face changed. It was subtle. A tightening near the mouth, a break in the line of his shoulders, but Tessa saw it because she had been watching men like him all her working life, waiting to know which ones would turn pain into anger. Roman did not turn it. He absorbed it. I know, he said. Serena's pencil dragged. Youletthemtlk. I did. Tessa looked down at the floor. This was not hers to witness, but leaving Serena without support would have been worse than staying. She kept her eyes lowered and her hand lightly beside the notebook, ready if Serena's grip failed. Roman's voice lowered. I thought I was protecting you from strain. Serena looked at him for so long that even the guards outside seemed to stop breathing. Then she wrote one word. FROM? Roman's throat moved. Tessa felt the word strike him. Protecting her from strain had sounded noble until Serena asked the real question. From what? From choices? From her own anger? From the inconvenience of needing time? Roman looked at his mother and said, from making me afraid. It was the first honest thing he had said since he entered the room. Serena's pencil stilled. Tessa did not move. Roman took one breath. When you stopped speaking, I filled the silence because I could not stand it. I told myself I was making things easier. I did not ask whether I was making myself easier to live with. The sentence was too private, too bare, for the man whose name made restaurant owners clear tables and judges return calls. Yet he said it in front of Tessa, in front of the open room, in front of the woman who had watched him fail. Serena touched his wrist. One tap. Yes. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Acknowledgement. Roman bowed his head over her hand for 1 second, and Tessa looked away again because dignity deserved cover. Miss Wynn. She looked up. Roman had straightened. His expression had returned to order, but not to coldness. You will stay with my mother today. Tessa's shoulders tightened. There it was. The command. The ownership slid into the sentence like a knife under silk. I am scheduled until 6, she said. Nico's eyes moved toward her. Marcello, who had appeared soundlessly in the hall, lifted his brows. Roman went still. Most people became afraid when he went still. Tessa did too, but fear did not cancel sense. After 6, she continued, I am free to leave. If Mrs. Vescari wants me back tomorrow, I will come for my shift. But I will not be kept in the house because you are angry at someone else. The silence that followed had a shape. It was the shape of every servant in the hall wondering whether they had just watched a woman end her employment and possibly her future. Roman looked at Serena. Serena tapped once. Yes. Then she pointed at Tessa, at the door, and back at herself. Tessa translated, she says I come back because I choose to. Roman's eyes returned to Tessa. There was something new in them now. Not amusement. Not irritation. Something more difficult. Respect, maybe, though Tessa distrusted that word from powerful men. Interest, definitely, and interest was more dangerous than anger. Then I am asking, he said. Tessa blinked. Roman Vescari, standing in his own house with 6 armed men within reach and an empire bending around his mourning, asked a maid a question. Will you stay with my mother until 6? Tessa's grip on the notebook loosened. Yes, she said. Until 6. Will you return tomorrow if she requests it? If she requests it. Will you allow my attorney to draft a new position for you? Independent advocate, reporting to my mother first, not to household management. Tessa felt the floor tilt in a way it had not tilted when Bianca threatened her. A title could be a gift. It could also be a cage with better furniture. I will read it. Marcello made a small sound, quickly disguised as a cough. Roman did not look away from Tessa. Good. The word was not approval. It sounded like a man adjusting to a rule he had not written. Serena tapped once, satisfied. That was the beginning of the day everyone in the Vescari house would later pretend they had predicted. By noon, the white roses had been removed from the east corridor. By 1, Bianca Moretti's assistants were carrying garment bags to waiting cars with faces like cracked porcelain. By 2, Marcello had discovered that 3 contracts Bianca had brought into the wedding office also touched Serena's medical proxy, the sale of the old family villa, and voting rights in a charitable foundation Serena had founded 30 years earlier. By 3, Roman had stopped looking calm. He did not rage. He did not shout. He became exact. Who signed this intake authorization? He asked Marcello in the library, where Tessa had brought Serena after lunch because the light was better and Serena liked the smell of old paper. Marcello adjusted his glasses. No one. That is the issue. It was prepared for signature after the wedding. Roman looked at the page. Prepared by whom? Moretti Counsel. With whose access to my mother's records? Marcello glanced at Tessa. Tessa, seated beside Serena with a stack of large print cards, felt Roman's gaze follow. Say it, Roman ordered. Marcello hesitated. Household administrative account. Roman's jaw flexed. Bianca had access? Temporary access for wedding logistics. Tessa could have stayed quiet. She should have. The house had already survived one act of her courage, asking it to survive another might be arrogance. But Serena's fingers had tightened around the pencil, and Tessa knew the reason. Not only wedding logistics, Tessa said. Roman turned. Marcello looked pained. Tessa kept her voice professional. Miss Moretti's assistant requested Mrs. Vescari's meal schedule last week. She said the florist needed it to avoid delivery times. Roman's eyes narrowed. Why would a florist need my mother's meal schedule? She would not. Did you give it? No. Who did? Tessa paused. She did not like naming staff. People below stairs survived by not making themselves the reason someone above stairs noticed a mistake. But Serena's care plan had been treated like furniture, and that was not a mistake. That was access. Claudia from events may have, Tessa said. She was told the request came from you. Roman looked at Nico. Find Claudia. Gently. Nico left. The word gently mattered. Tessa noticed that too. Serena wrote slowly on a card. Roman read it, then looked at Tessa with an expression that made her want to fold her arms. Apparently, he said. That is what happens when people talk around you for 11 months. Marcello's eyebrows rose again. This time he did not hide it. Roman studied her. You have been angry for 11 months? No. Tessa sorted Serena's cards into a neat stack. I have been employed for 11 months. Anger would have used too much energy. Serena's mouth moved in what might have been a smile. Roman saw it. The sight did something to him. It softened nothing obvious, but the room became less armed. What did you use instead? He asked. Notes. Show me. Tessa did not move. They are Mrs. Vescari's notes. Roman looked at his mother. Serena tapped once. Yes. Tessa opened the bottom drawer of the library side table and removed a gray folder tied with green ribbon. It contained copies of Serena's daily choices, visitor reactions, staff changes, medication questions, and every moment Serena had signaled distress during wedding planning. Tessa had kept it because Serena asked her to, and because no one listened to a disabled woman unless her truth arrived with dates. Roman took the folder as if it weighed more than the contracts. The first page read, April 3rd. Mrs. Vescari signaled no when asked whether blue dining room should be converted for bridal luncheon. Miss Moretti told planner yes. April 9th. Mrs. Vescari tapped no twice when shown sample invitation wording. Her objection appeared related to phrase, with the blessing of their families. April 18th. Mrs. Vescari became distressed when Moretti assistant referred to post-wedding relocation. Requested Roman. Request not passed through household office. Roman stopped there. I was not told. No, Tessa said. Why did you not tell me? The question had danger in it, though not the kind he intended. Tessa set both feet firmly on the rug. Because I was told all communication to you went through household office. Because your schedule was closed. Because when I asked Enzo whether Mrs. Vescari could have 10 minutes with you alone, he said your mother was tired and you had a flight. Because I am a maid, Mr. Vescari, and men like you build houses full of gates, then act surprised when the right message cannot get through. Marcello became very interested in the window. Roman looked at Enzo, who stood near the shelves with grief written plainly across his old face. I thought I was preserving your time, Enzo said. Roman's voice was flat. You were preserving my ignorance. I am sorry. Serena tapped once. Everyone looked at her. She wrote, with effort. Notonlyhim. Then? Eo. Roman took the blow without turning. Yes. Tessa had seen apologies in wealthy houses before. They were usually polished things, designed to end discomfort. Roman's was not polished. He did not ask Serena to absolve him. He did not explain further. He simply stood in the library with the folder in his hand and allowed the truth to remain unfinished. That, Tessa thought reluctantly, was better. At 6, she prepared to leave. She found her canvas tote in the staff room, folded her apron into it, and checked her phone. 3 missed calls from her sister, Mira. 1 message from her landlord. 1 from a former employer who had heard something through the invisible wire that connected rich households to one another. Are you available? Heard Vescari situation unstable. Tessa deleted it. She was tying her hair back beneath a scarf when Roman appeared in the staff room doorway. He did not step inside. That was the first thing she noticed. Men with his kind of power entered rooms as if every room had been waiting for them. Roman stopped at the threshold, one hand resting against the frame. "May I come in?" Tessa looked at him. He looked back. Behind him, the staff corridor seemed suddenly too narrow for the whole of his life. Black suit, signet ring, expensive watch, the faint scent of cedar and rain, the clean-shaven jaw of a man who had ordered men out of his house before breakfast and cancelled a marriage before lunch. Yet he waited because she had said she would not be kept. "Yes," she said. He entered and closed the door halfway, not fully. "My mother asked whether you had eaten." "I had soup at 3. "That is not dinner. It is when you work in houses where lunch belongs to people who sit down." The corner of his mouth changed. Not a smile exactly. "Something on the way. I owe you several apologies." Tessa slipped her phone into her bag. "You owe your mother more." "I know. Then start there." "I did." She looked up. Roman's voice was quieter. "I asked her what she wanted for dinner. She wrote, Tessa first." Tessa's chest hurt in a place she had not armored. "She worries about staff." "She worries about you." "She should not." "That does not appear to stop her." Tessa almost smiled, then remembered who he was and why caution had kept her alive. "Mr. Vescari, if this is about money, Marcello can send the contract." "It is not about money. If it is about gratitude, I accept it. You can thank me by making sure your mother chooses her own care." "I will. If it is about protection, I do not want men following me home." Roman's face became unreadable. Tessa frowned. "You already sent someone." "One car. At a distance." "No. Bianca's family is angry." "I imagine they are. They may try to pressure you. Then I will call the police." Roman's expression made clear what he thought of that plan. Tessa lifted one finger. "Do not make that face." "What face?" "The face men make before explaining that their world is too dangerous for normal rules." He was silent for a moment. Then, unexpectedly, he looked down. "I was going to make that face." The honesty disarmed her more than the argument would have. "Mr. Vescari." "Roman," he said. She did not accept that gift. "Mr. Vescari, I have lived in dangerous worlds. They were just smaller than yours. Landlords, medical bills, employers who touch your shoulder and call it friendly, cousins who borrow money and vanish, supervisors who cut hours if you say no. Do not confuse scale with expertise." He looked at her then, really looked, and the air altered again. "No," he said. "I will not." The sentence was simple, but it did not feel small. It felt like a door opening a careful inch. "My driver will not follow you," he said. "Nico will give you a number that reaches him directly. You may use it or ignore it. If anyone approaches you because of what happened today, I would like to know." "That is a request, not an order." Tessa studied him. "You are practicing." "Asking?" "Yes. I am bad at it." "You are not hopeless." This time he did smile, and Tessa understood, with a suddenness that annoyed her, why Bianca had wanted to marry him even before power entered the question. Roman Vescari's smile did not soften him into harmlessness. It made danger look chosen rather than automatic. He reached into his jacket and removed an envelope. Tessa's expression closed. He noticed before she spoke. "Not cash," he said. "Good. Dinner." She blinked. Inside the envelope was not money. It was a folded menu from a small Italian restaurant 3 blocks from her apartment, the kind of place she had walked past for years without going in because the windows looked warm and the prices looked rude. A note was clipped to it in Serena's shaky handwriting. "EAT." Tessa laughed once before she could stop herself. Roman watched the laugh as if it had crossed a guarded border. "My mother insisted," he said. "Your mother is bouger than you." "Yes. Do you know that? I am learning many things today." Tessa folded the menu carefully. "Thank her for me. Come back tomorrow and tell her yourself. If she requests it." "She has." "Then I will." Roman stepped aside from the doorway. "Good night, Miss Wynn." "Good night, Mr. Vescari." She left through the staff entrance, alone. No car followed. At least none she could see. The next 2 days turned the Vescari house inside out. Bianca's father called. Roman did not take the first call. He took the second and let Marcello record it. The Port Commission vote, it turned out, had been less a political necessity than a pressure point Bianca's family had inflated until everyone believed it was load-bearing. Roman spent 12 hours dismantling that assumption with the patience of a man removing wires from a bomb. Serena remained in her room. Not because she was hidden there, but because she chose it. Tessa wrote the choice on the whiteboard Roman had installed beside the door after asking Serena what would help visitors stop guessing. Every morning, Serena selected 3 cards: who she would see, where she wanted to sit, and whether Roman was allowed to discuss business in her presence. The first day she chose, Tessa, garden, no business. The second, Roman, library, 10 minutes. The third, Marcello, legal papers, after tea. Roman obeyed every card. Some of his men found this harder than others. Nico adapted immediately. Enzo cried twice in private and once not privately. Marcello pretended he had always believed in communication boards and ordered 6 versions with different paper weights. Roman read each card as if it were a treaty. Tessa should have felt vindicated. Instead, she felt watched by consequences. Bianca had not vanished. Women like Bianca did not disappear simply because a man cancelled a wedding. They reorganized. On Thursday afternoon, while Serena napped in the blue sitting room, a courier arrived with a cream envelope addressed to Mrs. Vescari. Enzo brought it to Roman in the library, but Serena saw the envelope first and tapped the arm of her chair. Mine. Roman hesitated. Serena tapped once, sharply. Yes. Tessa held out her hand. May I open it for you? Serena nodded once. Inside was a printed letter from Bianca's mother, elegant and poisonous in the way some women made cruelty sound like concern. It expressed sorrow for Serena's confusion, regret that a domestic employee had inflamed family tensions, and hope that Serena would recover enough judgment to support what was best for her son. Roman read over Tessa's shoulder. The room darkened around him. Tessa folded the letter before he could take it. No. Roman's eyes lifted. No, he repeated. Do not make this letter about your anger before your mother has answered it. Marcello, who had clearly aged 5 years since Tessa began saying no to Roman Vescari, whispered, "Merciful saints." Roman ignored him. Serena's eyes were fixed on the folded paper. Tessa placed it on the tray, then set the thick pencil beside it. Would you like to respond? She asked. Serena tapped once. Yes. It took 40 minutes. Roman stood through all of it. Not patiently at first. Patience had to fight him. His hand flexed twice. He looked toward the window. He looked at the letter as if he might burn it by attention alone. But he did not speak. He did not finish Serena's thoughts. He did not tell Tessa to hurry. Serena wrote. I am not confused. My son did not lose a wife. He found out what kind of woman was standing beside him. Do not write to me again as if my body is a locked room and you have the key. Tessa read it aloud only after Serena tapped once. Roman closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were not cold. They were wet with something he refused to let fall. Mother, he said. Serena pointed at the paper. Send. Marcello took it as if receiving scripture. Later, in the corridor outside the sitting room, Roman stopped Tessa with one word. Please. She stopped because of that word, not because of his voice. He noticed. You are teaching everyone dangerous habits, he said. Basic manners? Yes. They will survive. I am not certain Marcello will. She did smile then. Roman's gaze dropped to her mouth for a fraction of a second and returned to her eyes with visible discipline. There it was. The first unmistakable thing. Not possession. Not hunger dressed as romance. Attention with restraint. Tessa felt it move through her and did not allow it to decide for her. Your mother did that, she said. Not me. My mother has always done that. I stopped hearing her. You are hearing her now. Because you made it impossible not to. That is not romance, Mr. Vescari. That is professional competence. He went very still. Tessa had not meant to say romance. The word stood between them, bright and reckless. Roman did not step closer. He did not smile. He did not turn it into a joke that would let her retreat. I know, he said. That was worse. Because it meant he knew there was another question somewhere behind the professional one, and he was not going to insult her by pretending he had missed it. Tessa looked down the corridor toward Serena's room. I should check the tea. Tessa. Her name again. Not Miss Wynn this time. She should have corrected him. She did not. I noticed you, he said, because you refused me before we had ever properly spoken. I am still noticing you because every time I try to make you small enough to fit what I understand, you do something larger. Her fingers tightened around the folder she carried. That sounds like trouble. It is. For me? For the parts of me that prefer obedience. She laughed softly, despite herself. At least you know they exist. I know many of my flaws. My difficulty is that people benefit from them too much to mention them. I am sure you pay enough to inspire honesty. Money inspires performance. Tessa looked at him then. He did not look like a man asking to be comforted. He looked like a man stating a fact he disliked. So does fear, she said. Yes. Then stop making both the easiest languages in your house. Roman absorbed that too. Will you help me? With your mother, yes. Only my mother? The corridor went silent in the way a corridor can when a life offers a door and pride reaches for the handle first. Tessa made herself answer carefully. With the house, maybe. With you, I do not know. Fair. Is it? No, he said. It is generous. She left before warmth could become surrender. On Friday, the Moretti family struck back with reputation instead of violence. By 9 in the morning, gossip accounts claimed Roman Vescari had cancelled his wedding because a maid manipulated his sick mother. By 10, Tessa's name was online. By 11, Mira called from nursing school, frightened because strangers had found her page and asked whether her sister planned to marry rich. Tessa took the call in the laundry hall. Do not answer anyone. Lock your profiles. Go to class. Come home, Mira whispered. I will at 6. Now. Tessa closed her eyes. I cannot leave Serena in the middle of this. When she ended the call, Roman stood at the end of the hall. He had heard enough. What do you need? He asked. That stopped her more effectively than any order could have. Revenge was his first language, but it could not become hers. I need my sister left alone without anyone being threatened in a way that traces back to her. I need the posts answered with truth, not intimidation. I need Serena to approve the statement. And I need to go home at 6 with no car following me. Roman's face tightened at the last sentence, but he took out his phone. Nico, cancel the detail near Miss Wynn's building. If she asks for help, she will call. Until then, we do not place men near her home. Tessa hated that relief made her eyes sting. Thank you. Do not thank me for returning something I took without permission. That was the second unmistakable thing. He was learning the shape of her no. The statement went out at 3, and it was Serena's statement, not Roman's. Mrs. Serena Vescari remains fully capable of expressing her choices. Any implication that a member of household staff manipulated her is false. Miss Tessa Wynn acted with professional integrity when others attempted to speak in my name. Roman added one line beneath it. The wedding was cancelled because I listened too late. At 6, Tessa went home alone. At 8, Roman knocked on her apartment door with no flowers, no black card, and no visible guard. Tessa opened it with the chain still fastened. Mira stood behind her holding a lemon-shaped candle as if it were a weapon. You said no car, Roman said. You did not say no visit. That was legalistic, and I apologize for that first. I also apologize because my life reached yours without your consent. Mira lowered the candle. That was almost decent. I will try for fully decent next time, Roman said. He held up a small green phone charm, cheap plastic shaped like an old receiver. A label in Serena's uneven handwriting was tied to it with thread. Listen. Tessa took it through the gap in the door. Tell her I will put it on my keys. She will be pleased, Roman said. And you? His eyes lifted. I am trying not to be pleased by things I have not earned. The week that followed did not become a fairy tale, which was why Tessa began to trust it. Roman still gave orders before remembering to ask, and Tessa still corrected him when his power moved faster than his manners. Serena still had hard mornings when words would not come, but everyone waited now. Roman waited too. He waited while Tessa read the new contract with her own attorney. He waited when she rejected the housing stipend as too high. He waited when she made Marcello add a clause stating that no personal relationship could ever be tied to her employment, gifts, protection, or access to the Vescari family. You requested this clause? She asked Roman. Yes. If you ever choose me, I want no one, including you, to wonder whether I purchased the choice by standing too close to your paycheck. Tessa looked at him for a long moment. That is the first romantic thing you have said that did not frighten me. His face changed with care, not triumph. Then I will remember how it was built. 2 weeks after the cancelled wedding, Serena held a small dinner in the blue dining room. She chose Roman, Tessa, Mira, Marcello, Enzo, and Dr. Alvarez. Tessa sat at Serena's left because Serena pointed there and dared the room to argue. Halfway through dessert, Serena tapped her glass once and asked for the pencil. The message took time. Everyone waited. Tessa read it aloud when Serena tapped yes. My son was going to marry a woman who spoke beautifully and listened poorly. Then Tessa spoke badly to a powerful man and listened well to an old woman. I approve of this difference. Mira choked on water. Marcello covered his mouth. Roman closed his eyes for 1 second. Serena had written one more line. Roman, if you love her, do not make it another room she must escape. The table went still. Roman looked at Tessa. I do love her. Enough to say it where she can refuse to answer. Tessa's eyes stung. I am not moving into your world because you made space at the table. I am not becoming yours because you protected my sister. And I am not proof that you changed. No, Roman said. You are the person who made change necessary. The words were too honest to dismiss. I care for you, Tessa said. That is the answer I can give tonight. Roman received it as if it were more than enough. Then I will take care not to make you regret saying it. Serena tapped once. Yes. Later, in the garden, Roman asked before he touched her. May I kiss you? The question moved through Tessa like warmth because she knew he would bear the answer if it was no. Yes, she said. He kissed her, not because he was harmless, but because he chose to be. When his hand trembled against her cheek, she drew back and smiled. You are nervous. I am trying very hard not to ruin this. Good. Keep trying. 3 weeks later, Serena spoke her first clear sentence since the stroke. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday in the library, while Roman was telling Marcello, I am listening, and Tessa was sorting old photographs beside a bowl of cherries. Serena looked up and said, rough and perfect, finally. Marcello sat down. Roman crossed the room in 3 strides, then stopped before he overwhelmed her. He lowered himself to Serena's eye level and waited with tears standing openly in his eyes. Mother? Serena touched his face. Ask. Roman laughed once, broken and beautiful. Then Serena pointed at Tessa, then Roman, and added, go slow. Yes, ma'am, Roman said. That evening, the old leather suitcase left Serena's room for the first time since the failed wedding. Roman carried it himself, not because Serena was being removed, but because she had chosen 3 days at the family villa by the lake. Tessa stood in the corridor with the green phone charm on her keys. You are carrying that wrong, she told him. Roman looked down at the suitcase. Am I? The left latch is weak. Hold it from underneath. Nico turned away very quickly. Roman adjusted his grip. Like this? Better. Serena tapped once from her chair. Yes. Roman looked at both women and shook his head. I run an empire. Tessa stepped close and straightened his collar. And yet here we are, teaching you luggage. He caught her hand, not tightly, only enough to ask without words. She let him hold it. The front doors stood open. The house that had once organized itself around silence had learned the sound of waiting. Dinner when you return? Roman asked. Public table? Public table. No black card. I will suffer privately. Good. Serena made a sound that might have been a laugh and might have been an order. Tessa leaned down to kiss her cheek. Call if he starts deciding things. Serena tapped once with great satisfaction. Yes. Roman helped his mother into the car, then turned back to Tessa. For a moment, the man who had once been ready to marry a woman with a fake blessing stood in the doorway of his own house, waiting for a maid's choice. Tessa looked at him, at the empty corridor where the suitcase had been, and at the table where the green call light had once burned like a tiny warning. Then she smiled. Go take your mother to the lake, Roman. He smiled back, slow and unguarded. Yes, Tessa. The car pulled away. Tessa watched until it disappeared through the gates. Behind her, the house remained quiet, but no longer silent. And for the first time since she had walked into the Vescari mansion 11 months earlier, Tessa understood the difference.